This is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Tashran Tyson in with the OVN Major News package for today, Friday, 2nd August 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Rastafarian community will continue to have a voice in the shaping of cannabis legislation and expand and speedy win C45 Soca Monarch titles. Regionally, Puerto Rico's crisis deepens ahead of governor's resignation. Internationally, granddaughter of Robert F. Kennedy dies. And in sports, C45 cricket match ends in tie. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis is ensuring that members of the Rastafarian community continue to play an active role in the shaping of policies. This is in relation to the changing of laws on the use of marijuana cannabis for religious, medicinal, and recreational purposes. This has been an effort by the Team Unity administration to ensure that the position of the Rastafarian community was taken into consideration. In this regard, Samonde Ras Ayareed was invited to serve as a member of the National Marijuana Commission. A cannabis core committee of experts, led by Dr. Wycliffe Baird, has now been put in place to further advance the process of establishing a marijuana industry in St. Kitts and Nevis. Earlier this week, Mr. Melvin Marcelo Agard, in speaking directly to Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris, said that he hopes for more dialogue in whatever way, even if it is meeting with us and having more conversations for us to be better prepared. Prime Minister Harris agreed, while noting that we would want to continue to work with us in a public way in terms of the public education on the matter. However, this is a paradigm shift with regards to the PM's stance on marijuana, as in April 2018, during the opening of the forensics facility in St. Kitts, Dr. Harris stated,
"My final admonition is for you again to say no to crime and say no to drugs. In the debate that is now going on about the legalizing of marijuana, a lot of reckless statements are being made. You see our children who they have fixed up and mixed up in marijuana and hard drug substance, and as bright as they shown, and their future prospect was so encouraging, have been shattered. What greater evidence do you need than that you confront every day?
He added at the time,
and when you hear people begin to talk about legalizing the thing, man, free up the herb, you have to wonder, what will become of our society? It is not everything that is done elsewhere will be suited for our own country and society. Do not introduce them to no kind of marijuana. I don't care how much herb they call it. I don't care what healing property they say they have. Protect them from it and protect them from the alcohol and say no to that too.
Prime Minister Dr. Honorable Timothy Harris. The National Marijuana Commission was established by the Team Unity government to facilitate national engagement on the issues surrounding the use of marijuana in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Commission has also completed the third and final phase of the work, which involves summarizing the findings of cannabis and has produced a final report to inform Cabinet. In the National Assembly earlier this week, the Drugs, Prevention and Abatement of the Misuse and Abuse of Drugs Amendment Bill 2019 was read a third time and passed. Delison X-Man Roper won the Groovy Soca Monarch title in the Soca Monarch Finals in the early hours of Friday morning at the Cultural Village in Charlestown. He amassed a total of 388 points with his rendition, No Place I'd Rather Be. Speedy and Deli Rang singing Make Bacchanal copped the first runner-up spot with 371 points, while newcomer Avika singing Rescue Me copped the second runner-up spot with 386 points. In the Power segment, Speedy singing Ready won the Power Soca Monarch title with 383 points. Deli Rang singing Yeehaw copped the first runner-up spot with 365 points, and Ras Brown singing Hands, Hands Up copped the second runner-up spot with 357 points. Today, which is dubbed Fantastic Friday, the Department of Agriculture was hosting a food festival at the DR Walwyn Plaza in Charlestown. Poets in the Square continued today at 12 noon. Meantime, Culturama 45 activities continue this evening with the C45 Wet Fete event at 9 at the Cultural Village in Charlestown, Nevis. Today was also dubbed Fantastic Friday as the Department of Agriculture hosted a food festival at the DR Walwyn Plaza and Poets in the Square in Charlestown. Tomorrow morning, Saturday, August 3rd at 10, the Culturama 45 Art, Craft and Cultural Food Fair will be held at Penny's Park. Then at 5 p.m., Miss Caribbean Culture Swimwear Contest and Miss GQ International will be held at Penny's Beach. The Senior Kaiso Contest will commence at 9 p.m. at the Cultural Complex and will see 7 finalists vying for the coveted crown. They are Nutsi, King Irwin, Black Hat, Suki, King Hollywood, Murray, and King Astro. They will go up against reigning monarch This and That. International Drag Racing Meeting will be held on Sunday, August 4th at 12 noon at the St. James's Raceway. Then later in the evening, the Miss Culture Queen pageant will take place at the Cultural Complex at 8. On Monday, August Monday, the Emancipation Juve Jump Up is slated to commence at 5 a.m. The Herbert's Beach Affair begins at 1 p.m. Miss Caribbean Culture Queen pageant will take place at 8 p.m. at the Cultural Complex, and at 11 p.m. the King of the Jungle Song Clash at the Cultural Village. The activities climax on Tuesday, August 6th with Cultural Street Parade and Last Lap Jump Up in Charlestown. The Culturama 45 Food Fair, Senior Kaiser Contest, Miss Culture Queen Pageant, Emancipation Juve Jump Up, Herbert's Beach Affair, and the Cultural Street Parade will be carried live here on Von Radio 860 AM. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, was presented with a plaque from the reigning Flow Miss Caribbean Culture Queen, Miss Shelessa Nanton of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when she paid him a courtesy call at his Penny's office early today. Miss Nanton told Mr. Brantley that the plaque was a token of appreciation from the Miss Culture Queen Pageant Committee for the Nevis Island Administration's NIA's continued contribution to the pageant over the years. Premier Brantley thanked Miss Nanton and the pageant organizers for the gesture in response. The Flow Miss Caribbean Swimwear Contest, the first segment of the Flow Miss Caribbean Culture Queen Pageant, will be held on Saturday, August 3rd. The main show will be held at the Nevis Cultural Complex on Monday, August 5th. Participants for this year hail from the islands of St. Lucia, Dominica, St. Kitts, Nevis, St. Martin, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Anguilla, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Antigua and Barbuda. The Flow Miss Caribbean Culture Queen Pageant was first staged in 2006 and is the brainchild of local businessman Mr. Randy Jeffers. As citizens and residents, along with visitors, gear up to enter the Culturama weekend here on Nevis, persons are being encouraged to be wary during this period. The caution comes from Nevis Division of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. Amongst safeguarding personal possessions and property, Persons are also being asked to be mindful of children who may be at the various events. Head of the Nevis Division Superintendent Lyndon David is calling on parents, guardians to be responsible when it comes to their children.
The children under the age of 16 ensure that they are under your care and control at all times, that they wouldn't wander off and then they will lost their way and people would have to bring them to the station, and who knows, charges may be brought against you. So we are saying to persons, have your children with you all times and ensure that they don't wander off.
Superintendent David, also in speaking to the VON Newsline, is asking vendors to refrain from selling alcoholic beverages to underage children.
In terms of persons who are selling alcohol, do not sell alcohol to anyone under the age of 18. Yes, there's money to be made, but be responsible as well. Look out for other persons' children as you would like persons to look for your children as well.
Superintendent Lyndon David. The Team Unity administration continues to invest in the infrastructure of St. Kitts and Nevis. The administration continues to invest in the socio-economic development of St. Kitts and Nevis with its multi-million-dollar investments into various public infrastructure projects. Speaking in the National Assembly on July 30th, Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liburd, indicated that over $200 million is being invested in capital projects being undertaken at present in the Federation. Speaking in Parliament, Minister Liburd explained that some of the benefits of the ongoing projects are that some 15 local subcontractors will be engaged, as presently 9 of the 15 subcontractors to be engaged are in the job, and that will amount to approximately $7.8 million out of a total of some $15 million. This continuous investment into the public infrastructure of the country is a push towards further modernizing the federations, not only from a social point of view in terms of the betterment of the society, but also from an economic point of view in terms of modernizing and expanding for even greater tourism and other ventures. Some of the major projects that are ongoing include the construction of the second cruise pier, phase 2 of the Island Main Road project, the Fisheries Breakwater project, and the major works at Old Wood Bay. And finally, the St. Kitts and Nevis Ministry of Labour is working closely with Canadian officials and other stakeholders to ensure that the benefits of the Canada Caribbean Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program, CCSAWP, can be extended to female nationals. This, as the possibility of having women from the Twin Island Federation participate for the first time, was explored during a mission trip to Canada, which was held on July 12th to the 23rd and headed by Senior Minister and Minister of Labour, the Honorable Vance Amory. The team also comprised of Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labour, One Dublin Collins, and Shermel Cumberbatch of the Department of Labour. Mr. Dublin Collins indicated that the government has been working assiduously to, and I quote, expand our involvement in the program and to find increased opportunities, end quote, that will enhance the livelihoods for interested Kittitians and Nevisians. The mission team from St. Kitts and Nevis also strengthened relations with the Eastern Caribbean Liaison Service, ECLS, based in Toronto. ECLS is a unit of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, commission established to administer OECS member states' interests in the CCSAWP. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for 2, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. Out of Puerto Rico. Less than 24 hours before Ricardo Rossello is due to step down as Puerto Rico's governor, the choice of his successor remains unclear amid a deepening political crisis in the U.S. territory. Rossello was set to leave office at 5 p.m. local time today, Friday. His resignation coming in the wake of a scandal over leaked messages that sparked mass protests. Pedro Pierluisi was confirmed as Secretary of State early today. Pierluisi, a corporate lawyer with Washington law firm O'Neill and Borges, has faced intense public criticism as he works for a company that represents La Junta, the U.S. Federal Control Board created by the U.S. Congress in 2016 to oversee Puerto Rico's finances, which has long advocated for painful austerity measures. Protesters have accused him of serving the interests of the board and not the Puerto Rican public. No organized tropical features across the Atlantic Basin at this time, says AccuWeather.com. Meteorologists are closely monitoring several tropical waves, including a wave and associated low pressure area along 45 degrees west longitude, designated Invest 96L, located about 1,030 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. All tropical waves are moving west at an average speed of 6 degrees longitude per day. The tropical wave that has been designated 96L continues to move west at about 16 miles per hour. However, estimated surface pressures around the system have not changed much over the past several hours, and the orientation of the clouds and showers in and around the system remain oval-shaped. The system remains embedded within a region of dry, stable air with relatively light wind shear. 96L should remain within a region of low wind shear and move out of the drier area during the next couple of days. This could allow the system to become better organized as it approaches the Lesser Antilles. Our outlook for the Atlantic Basin will continue to focus on the tropical wave designated as 96L. This system has a medium chance of a tropical development late this coming weekend or early next week as it approaches the Lesser Antilles. Out of Dominica. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said his government is expected to bring to Parliament for consideration legislation to decriminalize the possession of marijuana. He made the announcement while delivering the 2019-2020 national budget at the first meeting of the fifth session of the 9th Parliament on Tuesday. The government should bring to the Parliament for consideration legislation to decriminalize the possession of marijuana, he said. The government will therefore propose that the possessions of not more than 28.35 grams or 1 ounce of marijuana be decriminalized. According to Skerrit, he has had the opportunity to hear the views of members of the public, many of whom have been engaged in expressing their views on that issue in the media and recognize the sensitivities on the issue. The issue of marijuana legislation has been heavily discussed in Dominica over the years. In December 2016, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said the government would seriously consider medical marijuana in 2017 with a structured and informed dialogue. And finally, the government of Dominica is taking action to encourage the use of vehicles that are more environmentally friendly in support of the goal of becoming the first climate-resilient nation. As such, effective October 1st, 2019, the import duty and value-added tax on electric vehicles will be reduced to 0%, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has said. He stated while presenting the 2019-2020 National Budget Address on Tuesday that the use of vehicles that do not utilize fossil fuels has a direct impact on the levels of carbon emissions. An electric vehicle is one that is propelled by one or more electric motors using energy stored in rechargeable batteries. The Prime Minister said that the measure will encourage citizens to make the switch to the more environmentally friendly vehicles and, over time, to have more of those vehicles being imported into Dominica. He said further that there is also an opportunity for individuals to provide the support services for those vehicles. That's it for Regional Stories. Saridas for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Sasha Kennedy Hill, the granddaughter of assassinated former U.S. President candidate Robert F. Kennedy, has died. Emergency services were called to the Kennedy residence in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, on Thursday. The 22-year-old was pronounced dead at Cape Cod Hospital. The Kennedy family has seen a number of tragedies, including the assassination of Sasha's grandfather in 1968. Robert, brother of President John F. Kennedy, was himself running for the presidency when he was murdered. Our hearts are shattered by the loss of our beloved Sasha. Her life was filled with hope, promise, and love, the family said in a statement. No further details about her death have been released, although U.S. media report she died of an apparent overdose. July marked 20 years since the death of President Kennedy's son, John F. Kennedy Jr. He was piloting a light aircraft to a wedding at Hyannisport, but crashed into the sea en route. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will impose a fresh 10% tariff on another $300 billion of Chinese goods in a sharp escalation of a trade war between the two countries. However, in the wake of this, China's foreign minister has threatened to retaliate President Trump's surprise decision on the tariffs.
The Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying said Beijing would never give in to blackmail or intimidation from the U.S. She said the new tariffs showed how the U.S. was flip-flopping and those actions would face consequences. China doesn't import enough goods from the U.S. to impose the same punishment in return. Instead, American executives working in China have told the BBC they expect more red tape, more license checks, more inspections, and more harassment.
Customs officials in Germany have announced the country's largest ever cocaine haul at the port of Hamburg. Over 4 tons of the drug were being transported from Montevideo, Uruguay, to Antwerp, Belgium, when they were intercepted by authorities during a routine check 2 weeks ago. The shipment, listed as soya beans, was hidden in over 200 black sports bags inside a shipping container. The drugs have since been destroyed under strict security, officials said. German officials said the discovery reflects their growing ability to interrupt international drug smuggling. But they also warned that the size of the haul indicates that South American drug cartels are growing bolder. And finally, a powerful quake off the Indonesian island of Java has rattled the capital Jakarta, but there appear to have been no major casualties or damage. A tsunami warning after the quake, recorded by U.S. monitors as being magnitude 6.9, was later cancelled. The quake struck at a depth of 52.8 kilometers. Indonesia has a history of devastating earthquakes and tsunamis, with more than 2,000 killed last September on the island of Sulawesi. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
First Cover is TDC Insurance's special motor insurance package for first-time motor vehicle owners. We at TDC Insurance understand that as a new vehicle owner, you may not have a no-claims discount. With First Cover, we consider your driving experience, age, and accident history, which allows you to receive up to 45% off your first motor insurance premium. And to make it easier, we offer attractive financing options to suit your pocket. Sit back and relax. We'll help you get the protection you need. At TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. Local sports. The cricket match between the St. Kitts and Nevis senior cricket teams took place at the E.T. Willett Park on Thursday, August 1st. St. Kitts captain Terence Ward won the toss and elected to send Nevis into bat first. Nevis got to a competitive 174 when the allotted 20 overs ran out. Once the openers departed for the St. Kitts team, on the other hand, several batsmen batted around Akeem Saunders, who was a standout batsman for the visitors, and the spectators were constantly kept on edge as the overs ran out. The match was effectively tied. At the closing ceremony which followed, the medals were given to the players and the Derek Parry Trophy was presented to the captains of both teams. For his wonderful knock of 54, Tonita Willett was declared the man of the match. Meantime, Day 2 of the second test match between India A and West Indies A ended with the game poised. The West Indies A commenced Day 2 with the score on 243 for 5 and led by an unbeaten knock by Rakeem Cornwall, managed to get to 318 all out. The India A team in response was sent reeling on its head to be at 1 point 20 runs for 5 wickets. Summarized scores: Windies A 318 all out, India A 190 all out. Shema Holder 5 for 54, Romario Shepherd 3 for 29, and Raymond Reefer 2 for 42. Windies A 12 for 4. Windies A leads by 140 runs with 6 wickets in hand. And finally, in basketball, the Washington Wizards announced today that the team has added Mike Longobardi, Corey Keynes, Gerald Christian, and Dean Oliver to head coach Scott Brooks' staff. The team also announced that assistant coach Tony Brown, who has served as the team's top assistant for the last 3 seasons, has been promoted to associate head coach. In addition, Ryan Richmond was promoted to head coach of the Capital City Go-Go. Longobardi brings a championship pedigree to the Wizards coaching staff, having won titles in 2 of his previous stops as an assistant coach, one with the 2007-2008 Celtics and most recently with the 2015-2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. Oliver, widely known as the pioneer in sports analytics, will bring his skill set to the coaching staff. Prior to coming to the Wizards, Oliver served as the vice president of data science for True Media Networks. That's it for sports. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Another local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of overnight showers. Weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with 20% or slight chance of showers. Winds are east at 19 to 37 kilometers per hour or 10 to 20 knots. Seas are 1.5 to 2.4 meters or 5 to 8 feet. A small advisory is in effect mainly over the eastern and northern sides of the islands. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:51 a.m. And that's a wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, August 2nd, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Rastafarian community will continue to have a voice in the shaping of cannabis legislation, and X-Man and Speedy win C45 Soca Monarch titles. Regionally, Puerto Rico's crisis deepens ahead of governor's resignation. Internationally, granddaughter of Robert F. Kennedy dies. And in sports, C45 cricket match ends in tie. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashan Tyson, wishing you a safe and an enjoyable weekend.